there's a cut over your eye. Do you want to fight? He's all, yes, I want to fight. They're all, do you want to? Yes, I want to fight. They're all, well, we've decided that you can't. And it's for your own safety. Now put on a mask. I'm serious right now. I'm gonna share something with you guys that is really, really notable about Nate's career. And I'm not just talking about, I talked about this a little bit on the live stream yesterday. So some of you guys may have seen this. It's not just about his recent record, which is very different than you guys think. Extremely, extremely different than you think. But also an opportunity that he missed to make millions of dollars. Huge, one of the biggest missed opportunities I've ever seen in a UFC or combat sports. Well, maybe not boxing. I'm not even thinking about boxing, but certainly in the history of MMA, I don't think there is a person that you could think of that may have missed out on making more money in an opportunity where they should have. And the same goes for UFC. The UFC is equally guilty to Nate, where they both missed out enormously on a huge opportunity. So I'm going to go through that. Now, before I do, though, if you like the content, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell if you want. You don't have to, but you can. And also, if you're a Kratom user, feel free to check out yokratom.com. That's where I get mine. I just ate it 15 minutes ago, which is why I look so good. And I sound so silly. What? But yeah, yokratom.com, $60 kilograms. It's great. If you don't know what Kratom is, don't look it up. Okay. So anyway, so here's the deal. Okay. I want to share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to show you guys something. This is like Jesse on Fire reacts. He reacts to something, I'm going to show you this because I looked at this yesterday and I realized that my impression of Nate Diaz's career, especially recent, is completely flawed, like deeply flawed. And I don't know how else to say it. I was caught completely off guard. I have done I did a short video about it afterwards. Some of you guys may have seen it. Like I said, I'm going to go way deeper than I did in these, even in the live stream yesterday. But I think if you're honest with yourself, and certainly when I was honest with myself before I did this, I would have said, if someone was like, well, how would you describe the last, I don't know, the third act of Nate Diaz's career? And I would say big draw, not, not performing as a top tier fighter. That's what I would have said, right? I mean, not perform, but just in terms of wins and losses, is he any threat to the top guys in the division? I would have been like, no. I mean, he's probably the biggest active star in the UFC outside of Conor. So as a combat sports business person, he's succeeded in every category and has overachieved versus any other person who's gotten that kind of shine that was not like a champion also, him and Masvidal being the two guys who really did. But nonetheless, I would have very simply been like, yeah, I mean, I don't think that he's any threat to anyone at the top of the division. And then I looked this up, okay? This is what I looked up right here, okay? His record over the last however many years, right? And so what we're looking at here is, for some reason, I just was remembering this incorrectly, okay? So you got this oh, look at that, all those losses, a lot of losses, not a lot of green there, a lot of red, not a lot of green. It's all right, well, that's true, but let's start right here since this is the top page, okay? Do you know how few times Nate Diaz has fought in the last 9 years? He fought 8 times. 9 times, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8. 8. He fought 8 times plus 1. He fought 8 times and one more time in the last 9 years. So he averaged 1 fight per year. But here's the deal, okay? So we go back here. This is Josh Thompson when he head kicked him, okay? Remember this knockout? Do you guys remember? It's the only time he's ever really been actually finished. He was still awake too, but he took a ruthless kick to the, a baseball bat, across his face from Josh Thompson. This is another era, dude. This is in 2013, bro. This is in 2013. I want you to look at any professional fighter that is on the roster now and compare them to the fighter they were in 2013. In most cases, you're going to be looking at a guy who's fighting in a Titan Express. You know what I mean? So this is, it's 9 years ago. Then he avenges this loss when he lost to Gray Maynard back here 3 years before, and he knocks him out in the first. Very impressive win. Then you got Rafael Dos Anjos. He loses by decision to a guy who is about to go fight for and win the title over Eddie Alvarez. Okay. So this right here, this decision is a loss to the best 155 pounder in the world. Okay. At the time, this guy won the championship. He was nasty. Everyone was picking him over Eddie Alvarez. Okay. This guy right here that he lost to, world champion. Then he fights Michael Johnson, wins decisively. Okay. So going into the Conor fight, you've got, he's 2-1 in his last two fights, decisive victories, and a loss to the world champion. And then they give him the Conor fight. And everyone's like, Nate Diaz over Conor. What? How's that? And he stops Conor in the second round, and everyone's like, oh my God, look at Nate Diaz. This guy's got some skills, dude. Unbelievable. He gets an immediate rematch. Look at this. Okay. He fights Conor the second time. Now, this says loss. This is my problem with these kinds of fights that are so close. It's like almost impossible to call. Now, I've watched the Weasels breakdown on this. I always thought Conor won. I thought Conor won the first, second, and fourth. I can't remember which one, but it was either the fourth or the fifth that I thought Conor won. And when they went through it, that's true. So Conor won 3 out of 5 rounds. But it's just, bottom line, a lot of people think Nate won that fight. A lot of people. So this is not really like a real loss either, if you really think about it. Then then right here, he takes a 3-year hiatus. Okay. A 3-year hiatus, comes back and just beats the piss out of Anthony Pettis. I mean, he dominated this fight. Dominated. Okay. Then you got BMF. What happens at the end of the BMF fight? TKO, doctor stoppage. He's got a cut. Nate Diaz, in New York, shocker. They're all put a mask on, Nate. He's all what? They're all put on a mask. He's all, why do I need to put on a mask? They're all, we're just preparing for next year. Put on a mask. Also, that cut above your eye is just ruthlessly dangerous. We need to tell you what to do. We're going to tell you, Nate, okay, there's a cut over your eye. Do you want to fight? He's all, yes, I want to fight. They're all, do you want to? Yes, I want to fight. They're all, well, we've decided that you can't. And it's for your own safety. Now put on a mask. Anyway, so I couldn't help myself. But so he gets, the fight gets stopped by a cut, right? Fight gets stopped by a cut. He's got 2 rounds left. Is Nate more or less dangerous in the 4th and 5th round? More, obviously. Now, there was no indication that he was, going to potentially come back and win that fight necessarily. But it's Nate, dude. He's never out of the fight. Never. Okay. And when you really look like the idea that he was just completely out of that fight, when you really look at his record, it's like he wasn't. He had 2 more rounds. Okay. And then you got the Leon Edwards fight. And we all know what happened there. He gets his ass kicked for 5 straight rounds. And then what happens? He literally almost starched Leon Edwards in what would have been the most dramatic moment in the history of the entire organization. If he starched Leon at the end of that fight, if he actually put him down and won, dude, now having been to so many events, I could tell you unequivocally, if that would have happened and I would have been there, I would have calmly turned around. I would have grabbed a hold of my seat that I was sitting in and I would have torn it out of the ground like He-Man and I would have thrown it in the direction of the cage. And they'd have been like, why'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know, man. It just seemed like the right thing to do. Why did it seem like the right thing to do, dude? You almost killed that guy. Honestly, I don't think I was in control. Nate just knocked out Leon Edwards after losing the fight for 24 straight minutes and tearing out my seat and throwing it in the direction of the cage just seemed like the thing to do. So I don't know. I don't really have a better explanation than that. It's something I did. I'd probably do it again, But yeah. So again, let's go back to this again. Okay. Leon Edwards, asterisk. Now, you might not think that's a real asterisk, but to me, it's like, dude, asterisk, not a real, it's a loss, of course, but he almost won that fight at the end of the 5th round. He absolutely had a chance to win. George Masvidal, stopped by a tyrant. Put a mask on, Nate. Anthony Pettis, stomped Anthony Pettis. And then you got the 2 Conor fights. The idea that he's been just getting worked over by people is just not accurate. This is not accurate. That's not accurate. It is not accurate. Now, I might be saying this and everyone's like, well, duh. But for me, that was how I remembered it. And so when I was thinking about this Hamzat fight, I'm like, oh my gosh, well, he's been getting worked by these other guys. Imagine what Khamzat's going to do. The only fight that applies to is the Leon one. And the thing is, it's like Leon doesn't really fight like Khamzat, right? He's like his striking is the exact opposite of Khamzat. He's patient. He takes his time. He has absolutely pristine straight punches, pristine. But he's like, he picks his spots. Khamzat's insane. He's going to come forward and he's a fucking, he's a tornado of Russian violence. I'm the wolf, brother. I go kill everybody. He's awesome. He is awesome. He's awesome. But they don't fight similar. They just don't. So again, I don't know. That just reframed everything for me to where it was like the idea that he's just getting fed to the wolves is stupid. It's not true. Here's the other thing I was talking about. Now, the big, massive financial loss. I'm going to tell you exactly where it is. I'm going to tell you exactly where where Nate made a huge mistake and where the UFC made a huge mistake. Now, I will say there are probably some benefits to this. Okay. Like there is definitely some benefit to this. And I don't believe that it was done intentionally at all. Okay. But you got right here, like, look, we're here. You got, Gray Maynard, you got Rafael dos Anjos, you got the Michael Johnson fight. Now, everybody knows he was paid 40 and 40 for this fight. Okay. 40 and 40. That's what Bryce Mitchell makes. Okay. So the idea that Nate, someone was saying to me in the live stream, Nate was already a huge star by then. Okay. He was a huge star in terms of you saw him in the casino and you're like, oh my God, bro, that's Nate Diaz. Or there was a lot of hardcores. He was a hardcores star. Okay. Like, of course, to me, of course he's a fucking star. Back then, if I saw Nate Diaz, I would be like, oh shit, what's up, dude? I wouldn't take a picture because I don't do that. But that's fucking Nate Diaz. But that's not what drives numbers. That's not superstar status as we're about to discuss right now. Okay. 40 and 40. He makes $500K for this one. Okay. He makes $500K as a replacement against Conor right here. And in his contract, he had that same thing that Dustin had, which is if you win in the rematch, you get paid, right? UFC doesn't think he's actually going to win. And I don't know if he had the same thing as Dustin, where if he won by stoppage, the number increased. But he stops Conor. Okay. Then he comes back. Look, same year, August 20th. There's only March, April, May, June, July, August. Fucking 4 months later. They got to get Conor back on the horse. We got to get this out of there. 4 months later, and they fight again, right? He makes an enormous amount of money here. I've always heard 10 million, validated publicly by the fact that his management, the managers for this fight sued him for $1 million, saying that he owed them his 10% commission for that fight or whatever. Anyway, it's not here nor there. Now, or I'm sorry, this one. So after this though, right? After this, he just made a shitload of money. He doesn't fight for 3 full years. 3 years. Okay. Now, why is that, do you think? I mean, I'm not trying to get inside of Nate Diaz's head, right? But this 3-year gap right here between McGregor versus Diaz 2 and when he fights against Anthony Pettis when Cormier and Stipe did their rematch. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter. I don't need to speculate to know that the UFC at the time did not realize how big of a draw he was, because how on earth would you possibly know, right? So they are not pursuing him in a way that would have reflected how big of a draw he was now in terms of how much they were going to pay him, in terms of putting him as a headliner, and all those things, dude. In all those things. Remember, they were going to have him fight Dustin. On the Khabib. Now, so this is me. Nate misplayed this also. And this is one of the only times you'll ever hear me say something very critical of anyone who's even in the, vicinity of Caesar or any of these guys, is Nate fucked up big on that first Dustin fight. In terms of the business, he fucked up. I'm going to say, actually, he fucked up huge, an enormous fuck up, which was now I'm saying this without knowing his contract terms, but in terms of the UFC was trying to throw Nate, up into the clouds. And he didn't he just kind of misread the situation. Was when they had Nate and Dustin on the stage and they were going to square off. And then they announced the Conor and Khabib fight, right? When they were going to do Conor and Khabib, and Nate got so pissed. He got so pissed that he stormed off the stage and he refused to fight on that card. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? That was such a bad idea. It was such a good idea to put him on that same card because that, like, all the Conor fans are going to be watching and they're like, that guy beat Conor. And then they had one of the best fights of all time. And I get to watch him again. It like solidifies you as this superstar. And he stormed off. And that was one of the things that happened during that 3-year period where he didn't fight. Right now, when he finally comes back in August of 2019 and he fights against Anthony Pettis. Okay. That was again, Stipe versus Daniel Cormier 2. Every event, I heard this like from people who were there. I'm a fan just like you guys. Like I watched all the same stuff as you guys, like where you watch like the warm-ups, you watch the weigh-ins, you watch the fucking, all that stuff. And it was Nate Diaz. It was like there's everybody else combined, the interest that they're bringing. And then there's this other thing over here that's Nate, and he has double as much interest as every other person on the card combined, including DC and Stipe and everybody else, right? And he went in there. He had an incredible performance, one of the best performances of his career, where he just completely overwhelmed Anthony Pettis. And then afterwards, smoked a joint, whatever, and or smoking before and after. And then Dana at the press conference was like, he's a needle mover now, right? That was the moment where you realized how big of a fucking star he was, because every other time that from when he went from where he was, before he fought Conor to after he fought Conor the second time, Conor was always standing right next to him. Like Conor's always standing right next to him. So how are you going to read the analytics and not think that this is Conor driving this, right? They hadn't ever seen, like this is the other thing. They had never seen the Conor effect before, okay? Because up until that point, Conor had beat everyone, right? This was the first time they saw the Conor effect that you subsequently got to see with Dustin Poirier and Khabib, right? Which is, if Conor makes a big fucking show of a fight and then you win, you take a ton of that magneticism. Like, when Conor fights, there's just this magnetic amount of attention. If you are a part of the event that people are magnetically attached to, and I got to really think of a better way to kind of like put words to what I'm talking about, but like that real attention, not like, oh, that guy's fighting, but like that thing that's like, oh shit. It's like, and you feel it. You're like, when's that guy coming on? That thing that Conor has. And if you beat him, you take it. And Nate was the first one to do it. Then Khabib, then Dustin. And you got to see Khabib became the biggest star like in the world after he stomped Conor, And so with Nate, you didn't really realize it until 2019 when he came back, and it was like, oh, he's a needle pusher now. And at that point, everyone realized it's like, holy shit, he's a massive draw. They do the BMF thing. They get to see all the numbers. Now you got analytics for days. Like everybody wants to see more of Nate. That was his inciting incident, right? Same thing with the Leon fight, right? How many people do you think bought that card because Nate was fighting Leon versus anything else that was on the card, right? Lots, a lot. And the thing is during those 3 years, 3 fucking years, you had, top 3 biggest star in the UFC on the sidelines with him not realizing it, or maybe him realizing, but maybe not realizing how much money he should be making because the UFC didn't realize it. So they're not offering him money that he was deserving of. Because, the money that he made in the Conor McGregor fight, that was in the Conor McGregor bout agreement. It's like rematch clause, you get paid all this. So like, that wasn't part, like, it's not like, oh, now you make 10 million every time you fight. You know what I mean? So I would imagine the UFC was not offering him money that was enough for him to want to come back. So you got 3 years in his fucking prime where he's sitting out doing nothing. And the UFC doesn't realize it, and Nate doesn't realize it, dude. You know what I mean? Like he could have just cashed in. The UFC could have cashed in. It's a fucking huge blunder, man, on both sides. Huge blunder. But here's the one thing I will say. I do think that the absence of Nate, right? Like the absence of Nate, part of that ended up being like, kind of like like a good thing for him, right? That like when he came back, there was so much time in between that like, it was like Nate Diaz is back. But I don't think that would have mattered. I think that's what it was going to be like no matter what. I think when he came back, that's what it was going to be like, and they fucked up, man. They really did. But anyway, I'm putting out a video right now about Andrew Tate stealing the Jake Paul fight from Nate Diaz, because I think there is a high probability that that's going to happen. Very high, actually. Extremely high. So if you see that and you think that like I renamed this video or something because it's 2 videos about Nate, it's not it, dude. Like that's definitely watch that video. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate the support. If you don't mind, like the video, give me a comment, support the channel, do IP vanish because you should anyway, but that would also be very helpful to my channel. Use ipvanish.com/Jesse and then use promo code Jesse. And I don't know what else. I'll tell you guys every single time, dude. Gabrielle's peach tea, dude. I'm telling you, when I say like the peach tea is good, I'm not saying like it tastes good. I'm saying I drink it. Like I told you guys, I mean, now we're late in the video. I'm just going to tell you guys. So, I take Kratom, right? I mean, I plug it on the channel. I do take it every day. So when I take it, I also drink a glass of Gabrielle's peach tea, and I call it it's my legal speedball. I do one every single day. Like right around, I usually time it. I do it around 10:30 a.m., maybe 11. It is the fucking bomb, son. You drink it. I realized recently, I'm like, dude, if I just drink the peach tea by itself, it's just as good. Like it's like, coffee ain't got shit on that peach tea, dude. The link's in the description. Like we're not making any money on that. I'm telling you right now, my entire reputation on that recommendation. If you drink it and you're not like, damn, stake my rep on it, dude. Anyway, I love you guys. Peace.